Hello, America, and welcome to the Glenn Beck program and to TheBlaze. This is the network that you are building, and the network that is being built like no other network. And you, in the next few days, will understand more of my vision and where we're going and what you are helping us build by your subscription to this network. I'm reading a great book about Edison and Tesla right now called Empires, I think it's Empires of Light. And it talks about how Edison believed in the incandescent light bulb and knew that it would change the world. And he wasn't motivated by money. He was motivated by change. He was motivated by doing something that nobody else had done, and he knew it would be a great benefit, and so he did it, and he plowed everything back into his laboratories. I read a quote from Walt Disney just last week. It said, "It's fun to do things that everybody says is impossible." We have a lot of plans, and we're going to need your help this year, and we'll lay them out for you, but I want to start with the basic the foundational stone, if you will, the cornerstone of this network. But I want to do it tonight in a way that will help you understand how this works to your advantage if you apply the same principle to your life, your business, or, as we are going to deal with tonight, just the news of the day. I'm going to talk tonight about the two biggest stories that you've been hearing about, the fiscal cliff and Sandy Hook. In many ways, the way we're going to talk about it tonight is what makes us unique as a news outlet. And let me start with the fiscal cliff. The media has breathlessly covered the political chess game as if the political points scored were more important than what actually happens to you or to our country after Congress acts or fails to act. Will the president save America? Will the Republicans push us over the cliff? Which party will compromise? Which party will win? See, we're not a country united anymore. We're not. But what is it that divides us? That's the secret. The Senate was lopsided last night, 89-8 in favor of the deal. The House vote was closer, 85 Republicans, including Paul Ryan, voting for the deal. It passed easily, 257-167. The markets this morning soared 250 points after the deal passed. The deal means, among many other things, that the wealthy are now paying their fair share, 40%, just under 40%, and that's just federal. $3.9 trillion also going to be added to the deficit. Wait a minute. Hold it just a second. So we're paying more, and you're adding another $3.9 trillion to the deficit. That's according to the CBO. And by the way, it's not just the wealthiest 2%. 77.1% of all American households will now see a tax increase on this deal. Who won? And by the way, since it didn't raise the debt ceiling, we're going to hit another debt ceiling within the next 2 months. And this time, President Obama says he's not going to talk to Republicans about it. Watch.
One last point I want to make. While I will negotiate over many things, I will not have another debate with this Congress over whether or not they should pay the bills that they've already racked up.
Okay, I made a ban on this guy. I think Tiffany, it's going to be really hard to do on the TV show, but I can't take this guy anymore. I just really can't. I don't want to talk about him anymore. I don't want to see him anymore. I don't want to hear him anymore. That's the most outrageous thing I've ever heard. This guy, a lot of things this guy won't talk about. As long as you play ball his way, you're fine. Now, the media has claimed that the crisis has been averted, and they have continued hyper-analyzing who won and what political points have been won, and what it means for the future of the GOP. And what is the GOP going to do next? My gosh, do we not have a country at stake? Honestly, I tell you, these guys on both sides of the aisle will be lucky not to be tried for treason if common sense and sanity ever would prevail, but I'm not quite convinced that it ever will. Okay, the media is reporting on this, but they are failing to ask one question. Why? Why did this happen in the first place? Just remember that. Now let me go to Sandy Hook, another story that you and I haven't had a chance to talk about. Sandy Hook, they'll try to convince you that this is about children, but it's not. You know the story. Disturbed 20-year-old kid takes his mom's guns, breaks into an elementary school, murders 28 people, including 20 kindergartners. Within hours, before the shock of what happened could even sink in, this horrific tragedy had been turned into a political debate over gun control. You see, that's what this story is really all about. Once again, the most important question is being sidestepped. Why did this happen? Now, that's where I want to concentrate tonight. Why? But in a broader sense. Because it doesn't matter the topic, it is the most crucial component of life. Why? I ask myself that a lot on vacation. I was on vacation, and quite honestly, I wasn't 12 years ago. I was a guy who was broke, but I'm not broke anymore. I could take all my marbles, and I could take everything, and I could go home. I could shut this thing down, and I could go and live in the mountains. And quite honestly, for the very first time in my life, that actually seems really appealing to me. I've always been somebody who's a doer and a creator and a builder, but I really thought I would come back refreshed. I'm not. I'm not. People ask me, why do you do this? My fans ask me that. My critics say I'm only doing this because I'm a fraud or I'm into money or whatever. Whatever. Let me tell you, the most important question is being asked. Why does he do it? Why do I do it? Why are we creating TheBlaze? You are an investor in TheBlaze. Why is this being created? Much of the why and much of the reason I came back is behind the doors right here. These doors. And as you will see next week, it's not just these doors. This is just the beginning. I'm going to take you behind those doors. I'm going to take you next week and show you the American Dream Labs. And it's why I do what I do. Because I believe in a better tomorrow. I believe in the American dream. I believe we don't have to be like this. But now let me take that one word, why, and explain the news. I'll explain where I come from through my why. This is why I do this show. This is why I'm building the network. It's why I am here tonight. I believe in liberty. I believe in self-empowerment. I believe in God. I believe in personal responsibility. I believe in freedom of conscience. I believe in the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence. I believe those things. These are not just what I believe. This is my why. I'm not going to sit by and coast in a cushy career or coast up in some mountain house. Well, I believe the things that are important, these things are important to me, are trampled and regulated to the dustbins of history. This is why I do what I do. And I think this is why we get along. My critics will say, oh, he's just a TV guy or a radio guy, or he writes books, or this is the latest one, I steal books. Really? Check my bank account for that theft. I do stage shows. I make clothing, 1791 clothing. Got it. That's not why I do it, that's what I do. How do I do it? I hire good people, fantastic staff in several cities that help me do these things through hard work. But why we do it is the most relevant aspect of the company. It's the most relevant aspect of a news story. It's the most relevant aspect in your life. It's the most relevant aspect on all of it because it explains it. And if you don't know why, you lose. That's why the Republicans are losing. They don't know why they're doing anything anymore. Let me explain it this way. Really relevant example. Most successful company, most successful than any other computer company at least, most successful company I contend in American history, Apple. They have people camping out at stores just to be the first to buy the next gadget they come up with. Even if it's an iPhone 12 and it only has one new feature, people are lining up for it. They could sell cars and people will line up for it. Now, how does a computer company get to the point where you'll buy your computer, your iPad, your music system, eventually a car? How can they do that? First of all, let's be real. Apple stores have a giant repair shop right in the middle of their showroom. Can you imagine if you were going in to buy a car and they had their service manager right there in the middle and a whole bunch of people lined up going, my car's not working. And you could hear them while you're waiting to talk to the salesman, my car's not working. And the sales guy or the repair guy is just like, you know what, it's probably cheaper if you just buy a new one. Would you buy one? They call it a genius bar, but in reality, it's hordes of people with broken Apple stuff who in their right mind is going to buy something knowing you're going to end up being one of those schlubs right there in line waiting for the genius to tell you, sorry, you're out of luck, you're going to have to buy a new one. So why do people buy their product? Key question, why? Let me show you. Apple versus, I just picked Dell out of the air. Dell, their commercials will tell you we make computers, and we make good computers, and you should buy one of our good computers. They're fast because we use fast processors and, I don't know, better screens. Why do we build them? I don't know. Have you ever seen a Dell computer commercial or even IBM tell you why they build something? I have no idea. Money? Because they can? I don't know. They focus on what, how, and if they ever get to why, you're lucky. However, Apple, and I believe us, and other successful companies, whether they think about it or not, we never thought about it. We just did it. But it's why we're successful and why Apple is successful. Apple will come out and they will start with a why. Why do they do it? Because we believe the world can be better. How do we do it? Well, we make beautiful things. So we believe art so much in our soul that even when you can't open the computer, it's beautiful. The processors look differently. You'll never see them. It doesn't make a difference in speed. It just looks beautiful because we believe in a beautiful world. What? I don't know. What do we make? I don't know. If you don't believe me that they never concentrate on the what, I want you to watch this Apple ad that you probably saw over the holiday season and never thought of it this way. Watch.
I'll be home for Christmas. You can count on me. I'll be home for Christmas. If only in my dream.
What are they selling? If you didn't know what Apple was, you'd have no idea what that ad was even for. It took me a second or third time to watch this ad before I even realized that iPad was smaller. I just thought it was, I don't know, kind of like a picture-in-picture thing. I don't even know. No, that is for the iPad mini. Now, here's a great product. They could say, we've made this great product even smaller, so you'll love it even more, but they don't. They don't tell you what. They don't tell you how. They only focus on why. Why? Because you want to be home for Christmas. That's it. You want to be home for Christmas. And whether people know it or not, that's what makes Apple successful. Their why. Their why isn't to simply make a profit. Their why is to change the world. Their why is to make it possible for you to be home for Christmas, no matter where you are. Now, who doesn't want to get on board with that? Even if it means you'll end up in a genius bar hell. When you read articles about people being successful, ask if you know their why. With us, it's not because I'm a radio guy or a book guy. It's not because our clothing line is so fabulous, even though it is. We put product out, a lot of product, and we work hard on it with good people. But our why is in line with your why, most likely, and millions of others just like you. I trust you. I say to my advertisers all the time, you want my people in your store. You want my people to come and be a part of your business. You want them because I know you even though we've never met. I know what motivates you and you know what motivates me. These line up. Okay, so why am I telling you all this? Easy, go back to the news. Remember, the question here is, why? Not what, not how, but why. Can we open up this side, please? Why did it happen? Well, let's look at the fiscal cliff. Why did the fiscal cliff happen? Something that the media won't really even concentrate on, but it is the most important part of the story. Why? Well, it's easy. Incompetence, power, and greed. Decades and decades of politicians piling up debts in order to keep or gain power and then kicking the problem they created down the road for the next guy who has to deal with that problem. That's the main factor leading to the fiscal cliff. Not the Republicans, not the Democrats, all of them. This deal changes none of what is the problem. None of it. In fact, it continues, if not speeds up, the problem. Their solution was to tax the rich, blame the other party, consolidate power. I don't know a single Republican or Democrat who believes this solution is good. In fact, on vacation, I talked to several Democrats and Republicans, and I said, I think they both should be tried for treason. What are they doing? They're playing with our lives. What are they doing? And both Republicans and Democrats agree. Why? Because both Republicans and Democrats, both Americans, have more in common with this list of why than this list. And this list, if you believe in these things, cannot produce a solution like you saw in Washington. Why are they doing the things they're doing? Incompetence, power, and greed. Do those things match why you do things? Why you care about the fiscal cliff? Do any of these match these? What are the real solutions? You go back to this list and it's easy. It's really easy if you know why you do things. Go back to the list of why I do things, why you do things every day. What do you come up with? If you believe in liberty, self-empowerment, God, personal responsibility, freedom of conscience, Constitution, Declaration of Independence, this is what you do. You cut wasteful spending. That's the first thing. You rely on charity and good Americans and members of faith to help feed people. You have faith in them. You encourage people to be more charitable. You encourage people to be more prepared, more self-reliant, less reliant on you. You empower people. You empower not only the people who are coming up and struggling, but you also empower the most successful in society and the most productive. How do you do it? By having them keep the fruits of their labor as much as they possibly can. And you encourage people to work. And you do that, like Benjamin Franklin said, by making people who are unwilling to work uncomfortable in their poverty. You reduce the punitive tax and regulation burdens on the people who are creating and are hiring people in America. Most of those are small businesses. Those accomplish these things, but those solutions do not accomplish this if that's your why. This is why you are so frustrated when you watch the news. Your why does not match the stories being told on the news. They will tell you the story of the fiscal cliff, but they will never attach the why to it, and they come up with some cock and bull story that you're like, what the hell are they even talking about? And you know, they try to sell it to you. Well, they're just trying to do it. No, they're not. No, they're not. The politician and the media Their why doesn't match your why. That's why you're frustrated. That's the great American divide. Our whys no longer match. Our whats do. Let me give you an example. My whats match Stephen King, Anderson Cooper, you name it. Let's take TV. My what matches the people at CNN. They make a TV broadcast of the news. I make a TV broadcast of the news. Great. They stand in front of a camera. I stand in front of a camera. So why are we so different? Oh, there's that word again. Why? It is the why that divides us. Let's go to Sandy Hook. Sandy Hook is not about a shooting. That story is not about a shooting. That story is all about gun control. The media's explanation of why on this tragedy was predictably the gun. Because he had access to assault rifles. And because of the NRA, you know, and furthermore, his mom was one of those paranoid preppers. No. Nope. Isn't it interesting that what happened was a shooting and killing of children? How? Guy using a gun. Why? The gun. What? Your how and why are the same? No, they're not. Blame the NRA, guns, and preppers. Why would you do that? Incompetence, power, and greed. Here's the real why of Sandy Hook. Broken families. Breakdown of values. The desensitization of our children, primarily through media and Hollywood and video games that are killing our children. Hollywood stars made this amazing video begging President Obama, please, please give us more gun control, President Obama. And demanding that you demand more gun control. Watch this.
Columbine.
Virginia Tech.
Tucson.
Aurora.
Fort Hood. Oak Creek.
Newtown.
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 How many more?
How many more?
How many more colleges?
How many more classrooms?
It's time.
It's time for our leaders to act.
Demand a plan.
Oh my gosh.
Right now.
Stop.
Right now.
This is such an astonishing thing to watch. To watch Hollywood celebrities come out against guns and have either no sense of irony or no fear of appearing insane. They glorify violence and guns on a daily basis. And not only do they glorify guns, but they blur the lines of good and bad. Anyone who watched The Sopranos, you were cheering for Tony Soprano. The guy was a mass murderer. He was a mobster. But America loved him. Why? Because Hollywood found the soft spot of a murderer. A video calling out the left on this was screaming to be made. Oh, and it was. It's up on the Blaze. If you haven't seen it yet, it's up on theblaze.com now. Watch this.
Columbine.
Take a full screen.
I like the way you die, boy.
Kill all the white people in the movie. How great is that?
Newtown.
How many more classrooms?
Okay, I can understand why people like that.
It's time.
It's time for our leaders to act.
Demand a plan.
It's unbelievable. Spare us the anti-gun rants, Hollywood. Clearly you don't mean it. This is an anti-gun plea that is clearly reactionary and completely void of rational thought, unless their why is different than yours. I would say why they are doing it is not the same why as you do what you do. So it looks like it has a lack of thought and relevance, but it doesn't. So where does this lead us? Well, a deeper discussion and some solutions, perhaps, next.